This is The Litter Box, a Detroit Lions podcast with your hosts, Chet West and Bill Patterson.
Detroit Lions Litter Box listeners, we had a really fun Sunday. 3:25 Central Standard Time kickoff, and the Lions beat the Cincinnati Bengals 37-24. What was equally awesome was that not only did they cover the 10.5-point spread, but it was the largest road spread the Lions had had since 1973. And the Lions were so in control of this game that many of the national audience or Midwest audience that had this game on soon found it to be flexed in the fourth quarter to the Chargers-Commanders game because the Lions were so convincing in their beatdown of the hapless Cincinnati Bengals, which is a first in my lifetime that I can remember the Lions beating someone so bad, Chet, that they were moved to a different game, not the opposite of that.
They took it right away from us. They took it right. If you're not in the Detroit market, you got the pleasure of watching the Commanders and the Chargers.
And probably the Cincinnati market.
And probably the Cincinnati. They probably ripped it right out of the Cincinnati market.
You know what? I'll take it all day long. And I bet many Bengals fans wouldn't complain either for the fact that they probably didn't want to watch that turd of a team anymore either.
I think the Bengals are done. The fans are done with their squad at this point. It is not pretty there. And I don't blame them. I think just watching that game, you realize how important a quarterback is.
Right now, if I had a vote for the 2025 NFL MVP, it would go to Joe Burrow because they were 2-0 until he got injured, and now they're 2-3 and look lost.
I think it definitely paints a picture as to how dominant Joe Burrow is as a quarterback and how good he is. I mean, I don't know that Jake Browning, I kept calling him John Browning last week. Jake Browning, I don't know that Jake Browning is a good measuring stick. Very difficult to judge a team when their quarterback can't put balls in the right spot. I mean, it looked half the time like he was actually trying to throw it to our D-backs on deep balls.
The other part of that is, and I'm not excusing or defending Jake or John Browning. I'm sure Jake wouldn't mind a John so he can go into witness relocation at this point after that putrid performance. But their offensive line is abysmal, Chet. It makes you realize
it's really bad
how important it is and what the key to success for teams that are successful in the NFL. So think the Eagles, the Bills, the Lions at this point, the Chiefs invest so much draft capital in building the O and D lines, and there's just no substitute for it, which leads me to my next point. I didn't have a good feeling when I saw Taylor Decker's name showing up on the not going to participate in the game list due to that nagging shoulder injury he has, and in his stead came former Canadian college football player Manu to man the left tackle spot, and we'll see what the PFF grades say, but he didn't get
good. It isn't good.
He didn't get Jared Goff killed as the positive. Outside of that, he almost got him killed twice.
Well, he almost did. He almost managed to do it.
2 times.
I don't know. I understand you give Decker a rest, okay, against a team that has a fairly weak defensive line outside of Trey Hendrickson. But they look pretty strong to me going up against Manu. Granted, the rest of our line did a much better job than Manu did, but Manu was single-handedly so bad that multiple plays ended up collapsing from that left side. And it wasn't just Trey Hendrickson going up against him. He couldn't handle anybody that was across from him. He got beat by almost every single guy they lined up over top of him on that side of the line. And when he wasn't getting beat, all sorts of chaos was being caused. I mean, you had David Montgomery, who's a good pass blocker, trying to figure out where he needed to go to fill holes and help Manu out on that side. And I think even that was difficult. I think that the experiment with Manu, I'm hoping ends soon. And if it doesn't, we may have to shift somebody over there, which is not the easiest thing in the world to do, to just shift somebody to left tackle.
Hold on. I think you're being very, very harsh on him. He has not played that much football, and was drafted as a project. It was his first start in the NFL, and I agree it was not good, Chet. He also didn't know that he was starting until Sunday morning.
I get it, but in the Dan Campbell world, the next man up is supposed to be prepared. We heard that multiple times this past week. And it's offensive line. I know it's tough, and I'm not putting this all on Manu. I'm putting a lot of this on the whole front office, the coach staff. We just don't have an acceptable backup at a key position on the field.
Who does have like a great left tackle backup, though?
Don't have to be great, but when your pass block score is a 17.5 and you're the left tackle, that's problematic.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen if Decker's out extended period of time now?
The word on the street is that Decker will be back for the Chiefs game.
I hope he was just getting a rest because it was a lighter opponent.
Yes. So do you want to know the most amazing statistic from this game?
Yes.
Is despite what we just talked about being the opportunity there, or at least one of them, Jared Goff went 19 of 23. He is Superman back there. He only had 4 incompletions given that he didn't have a real left tackle in front of him.
He did some stuff. He threw some balls under duress that were absolutely fantastic. And some guys made some plays for him too. But he got rid of a couple balls that I didn't think he was going to get rid of. I think it was in the beginning of the game. Gibbs got one that he practically picked up off the ground. But the fact that Goff even got him the ball was amazing because he had heat coming from the backside. And I do wonder how much of that for Goff is, how used to that is he? I mean, he hasn't gotten a lot of pressure from the backside in his career, or at least in his career with the Lions, due to the fact that they've had a good left tackle over there that he can trust. So I'm wondering if that's kind of a new thing for him at this juncture, or an unexpected thing for him.
He still played great.
Yeah.
So I would give Jared Goff one of my game balls. The other game ball has to go to David Montgomery, which I hope he gave to his sister. Johnny Morton just continues to wow me, and I have already forgotten about Ben Johnson or Benedict Johnson.
It's a non-factor for me now.
David Montgomery threw a touchdown pass that was just awesome. It was only a 3-yarder, but it was one of those
symbolic.
It was symbolic, and he did find the end zone. He had 18 carries for 65 yards for only a 3.6 average. I will say that I think we're seeing the twilight of David Montgomery's career. I don't expect him to be with the Lions next year. I do think that it'll be Vaki time. And Jahmyr Gibbs was his usual self, 12 carries, 54 yards for a 4.5 average.
He was great in the pass game, though.
He did not score a rushing touchdown. However, he did have a 39-yard pass catch. And to your point, he was excellent. 5 catches for 92 yards, 18.4 average on just 6 targets. And then another nickname. It's no longer Amon-Ra St. Brown. It is Amon-Ra First Down. He was
first down.
He was open all day. 8 catches, 100 yards, 12.5 average, a long of 26 on just 9 targets. But every time the Lions found themselves in 3rd and long or 3rd and 6,
he shows up.
He shows up and it was open. He is just so awesome.
Amon-Ra is consistently now showing up at the mid 80s to 90 in PFF grades too. So he's doing a lot of the positioning things right that maybe we don't see that they're getting on the game replay and the game recaps, film recaps. So it's pretty impressive that he can keep turning in consistent performance after consistent performance.
The last player that I think we need to give a shout out to, because we were pretty much spot on in our fantasy starts. We
had him pretty good.
Sam Laporta had a great game, 5 catches for 92 yards. It's the most he's had yardage-wise in over, I guess not only this season, but you'd have to go back to this point of last season. So he's officially back, caught a touchdown, and things were good. I mean, the Lions offense is clicking. I will have to say, have you bought milk today?
No.
Oh, because Jameson Williams is the missing person on the back of the milk carton.
Yeah, I know.
He is.
That was well set up, by the way. He is, and his PFF grades showed he's down in the 50s still. He just isn't. There's something not clicking with him right now, almost kind of like the offensive Terry and Arnold. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
It's just sort of not clicking, not picking it up, not getting it. And he's still a young player in his 3rd year, but usually the 3rd year is when a receiver starts to go. That's usually when they really start to catch their stride. So the fact that he's not, I'm wondering, is it John Morton doesn't quite know how to use him and fit him in yet? Or is it just he's not doing the things he needs to be doing? I'm not 100% sure. He dropped a couple balls in the last game. This game, he barely even got a chance to catch a ball. And another thing, I want to go back to the tight end. Do you think John Morton uses the tight end a little more than our buddy Ben did?
Definitely last year, it seemed like Laporta was kind of an afterthought for certain games. And it seemed like Ben really, he overly focused on getting the run game set up and establishing the play action.
Yeah.
Where I think Johnny Moe hasn't forced things quite as much. Like, he seems more willing to adapt. Now, small sample size.
Sure.
But let's take the opening drive. The Lions get the ball and march down the field, and every time they ran into trouble, he pivoted, and that
Laporta was the outlet.
Yeah, and that was the touchdown that Montgomery threw, wasn't it, on the opening drive?
Yeah, it was the Brock Wright, but it was the second touchdown. The opening drive touchdown did go to Laporta. It was from Goff. The second touchdown was Montgomery to Brock Wright over the middle. And Brock Wright's another guy, did not have a very good game at all, but was rewarded with a touchdown catch. So he had a pretty porous game across the board, in my opinion, blocking and just in general play. As far as Laporta goes, he was injured at the beginning of last season, so I think we chalked his absence up to the fact that he was getting a slow start, but then he never got really brought into the game plan. I just didn't see him getting a ton of opportunities from the quarterback. Now he seems to be a major piece, especially on third downs, and first and second downs for that matter. He seems to be getting the ball more often, is what I'm saying. I think this was one thing that was predicted at the beginning of the season, is that Johnny Morton uses that tight end a little bit more.
I think you're spot on, 100% correct. And early returns right now, I am very, very pleased with the hire of Johnny Moe. I wasn't, when I have to say I was very dubious of that hire, but I am, through 5 games, 100% sold on him. And Calvin Shepard called up a great defense. Our guy, Jack Campbell, played a great game. The flowing blonde locks of Alex Anzalone were everywhere. He played a great game as well. Hutch is officially back. He was so disruptive. And what a shame on that strip that he had that Arnold had to get whistled for.
I mean, can we just dwell on Arnold for a second? I know we've torn this guy limb from limb on this day.
Chet, now. You are on the couch. I am your therapist. Go.
I cannot stand. So we'll start with the sack for safety that didn't happen
because
Arnold mugged Jamar Chase, who was not even being looked at by Jake Browning. He was on the other side of the field. Browning never even looked over there. So Arnold is mugging the guy beyond 5 yards just to keep up with him. And this is what bothers me a little bit about Arnold. He doesn't seem to have any cover ability. He either mugs it. You remember how many pass interference calls he had last season in his rookie season? And we kind of chalked it up to, okay, he's a rookie. He's trying to play aggressively, blah, blah, blah. It seems now that, okay, he doesn't commit the pass interference, but he loses the guy.
He had 7 last year and led the league.
Who did? Arnold had 7 PIs last year and led the league. Yeah, I mean, that tracks. So he was kind of a very physical coverage guy, and I sort of liked it, but I was like, he's got to learn to cover properly so he doesn't commit all these penalties and give up all these yards. Well, now he's just mugging guys even when they aren't in the play. It was baffling to me that, I mean, maybe his mugging of him kept Browning from looking that way. I have no idea. All I know is it seemed like it was unnecessary, and I think it was pretty disappointing. You saw Campbell kind of looking over like, what the heck are you doing? And even, Hutch, of course, disappointed. Hutch probably should have had 3 sacks in that game, and I think he ended up with 1 or 2, or maybe he should have had 4, but he got 2 of them called back due to penalties. I will say, just as far as Arnold goes, I don't think he's got it. I think we've seen everything we're going to see from Arnold, and I'm kind of done watching it. And if he doesn't watch out, one of these other guys is just going to get his spot. If he isn't a liability in every game, one of these other guys will get his spot. I'm looking at a couple other guys out there. Rock Ya-Sin, he was your guy at the start of the season. Back in training camp and preseason, you were on him. He had a great game. I thought he played quite well.
He did. I do a fun one while we're on Terrion Arnold?
Yeah.
Okay, so I looked up the recap on ESPN's NFL draft from the 2024 draft. He was the 24th pick.
Yep.
And he played at Alabama.
You're going to depress us now.
No,
I know what's coming.
I just want to read this to you. Massive steal. Arnold is the second corner on my board, but he has the same grade as QB1 Quinyon Mitchell, who the Eagles took, and is the 11th overall player on my board. This pick might even be better than the Eagles getting Mitchell at 22. The Lions trading up to get Arnold makes it close.
And he slid to 24 probably for a reason, because 23 other teams saw that he wasn't the guy.
Well, the Lions traded with Dallas to get up to grab him because Mitchell was already off the board.
Who knows? Maybe he turns a corner. Maybe he, and for that matter, Jameson, turn a corner and become all pros every year. We're not going to sit here. He's 2 years into his career, but so far it looks really bad. Looks like one of the other D-backs we would have drafted 10 years ago, 12 years ago that never panned out either in the first round. Remember we went through a streak of that, the Lions did, drafting D-back after D-back in the first round, and none of them ended up panning out really. At any rate, the other guys filled in. I like Avonte Maddox out there too. You can tell he's a veteran, gets the job done. Trey Flowers, who I think's been on the team for 3 days, ended up having to play. Mm-hmm. The injuries are starting to look a lot like last year back there in the defensive backfield a little bit. Does that scare you at all?
Petrifies me. So why don't you do some PFF grades for us? But yeah, no, I'm scared.
So I kind of gave you the offense. I've kind of been just filtering them in here.
I think it's great, but I know you got a couple others
here. The highlights on our defense were Jack Campbell and Aiden Hutchinson. As you've already said, both of those guys graded out above 90. Hutch was a 91.6, Jack Campbell a 92.8. Anzalone and Al-Qadim Muhammad. Al-Qadim had a nice game, by the way. Quietly had a nice game and opened things up real well for Hutch. I tell you what, the traveling man, he can play on our defensive line as long as he wants. So far, he's been quite good. He and Anzalone were in the mid-70s, nothing to sneeze at there. And then Roy Lopez makes an appearance in the top 5 at 74. I didn't notice him, but he did something. And then you got Kirby Joseph rounding it out. And Kirby, you had some interesting info on Kirby.
The Lions D, if I can just comment on Roy, they eliminated the Bengals' ability to run the ball.
Yeah.
And often. And I think a lot of credit needs to go to Roy Lopez, DJ Reader, and I know you've kind of been hot and cold on him, Tyleek Williams. So what I was going to say, though, Kirby Joseph with an interception yesterday is on the same trajectory. And actually the only safety that had more interceptions at this point in his career was Hall of Famer Ed Reed, who I consider probably the greatest safety.
Yeah. You're not going to do too much better, Ned.
I really, really, really am bullish on the Lions already getting a deal done for Kirby Joseph. I hope they do the same, and I'm sure you feel the same way on Brian Branch. Yeah. And then we'll just have to figure out what's going to happen with the secondary, but it seems like the Lions do better with these rock and reclamation projects than they do drafting in the first and second round, because we still haven't seen, the second round pick from Missouri, Enos Rakestraw, because he hasn't been healthy. So
true.
Yeah, so
the only guy that had a low grade was Terrion Arnold. He's the only one worth talking about. Everybody else was 60 or above, which is fantastic for a defense.
The defense is good.
Yeah, the defense has been playing quite well. Now, they've been going up against some cupcake offenses. I mean, the Browns, you saw the end of Flacco there. You get the Bengals without Joe Burrow. A better test would have been with Joe Burrow, but without Joe Burrow. So we'll see what happens here next week against the Chiefs. Do we want to talk about that game?
Yeah, briefly. The Lions are 1.5 point dogs right now. And on the early line, what I'm seeing, it's plus 110 on the money line. I am not expecting the Lions to win this game. I think Arrowhead's going to be rocking.
Yeah.
And this is for our listeners that love T Swift. She just blew open the box office, basically ruined The Rock's film career by drawing $37 million in for 3 days on her new movie that you can only see for 3 days. And I just feel like all the momentum's with them. I feel like if Decker doesn't play, the Chiefs Chris Jones will feast on Jared Goff.
Yeah.
And that worries me. I hope Decker does play. I hope Aleem McNeil is healthy enough to play, but I don't have a good feeling on this one.
Yeah, you're going to get Chris Jones and George Karlaftis, who they're the top two defensive line players for the Chiefs, and they can wreck a game by themselves. They're both very good. I really hope Decker is back for this one. I hope we rested him against Cincinnati just so he would be back for this game. Otherwise, I don't see us being able to handle that. Left side of the line is going to be collapsing quite often. And that's not where it stops. They've got some other guys in their line. They've brought some promising rookies in. It's the Chiefs are going to be a level above what we've seen for the last 2 weeks. I'm with you. I don't think we win, and I don't even think we cover. I think our defense will do a decent job. It'll depend. How many defensive backs do we have healthy for this thing? I think our defense will do a decent job. I don't know. It'll come down to our offense. Can our offense perform, which they have for weeks on end, now 4 weeks straight. Can they do it against a good Chiefs defense?
In Vegas,
in Arrowhead.
Vegas has the total at 49.5. The only game that's higher is the Bears Commanders at 50.5. So there's going to be some scoring.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the last 2 times we played the Chiefs, this thing has been a low-scoring affair or a fairly low-scoring affair.
Yes.
I believe we struggled to cross 40.
Yeah.
In both of those games.
That's not what the sharps in Vegas are saying.
True.
So
okay.
We'll see.
All right, Bill. So give me your fantasy football angles. What are we looking at here for the Chiefs Lions? Who do you like?
Usual suspects. Amen, Ra, first down.
Call him the automatic plug-in.
Yeah, he's plug and play. So is Gibbs. And I know Laporta's coming off a good game. I think Johnny Moe is figuring out ways to use him. Until I see more, I'd say, Jameson's in big if on that. And I do see a day, possibly by Thanksgiving, early December, where Tesla or Coleslaw is.
I think his day might be coming.
I do too.
He had another nice touchdown grab this past weekend. And you got Khalif Raymond, who, man, I hope he's okay. He took a hell of a shot there. I know.
I
hope he's all right. But if Khalif is out, this is enter Isaac. And he is going to probably reap some benefits if Khalif is out. You hate to see it happen that way, but the room had to be made for him to be able to get some opportunities. So I like your call there. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go with Gibbs in this game. This is a Gibbs game, in my opinion. I think they're going to be staying out of the middle. Chris Jones, Karlaftis, those guys are going to be clogging that middle up. And I think they're going to have to go out around the edge. That doesn't mean that, Nick Bolton can get out there and tackle him just as well, but from that linebacker spot. But I think Gibbs is going to be more effective in this game. And I think, as usual, if you're not starting Amon-Ra St. Brown in every single fantasy game you ever have where he's in playing, you should quit fantasy. So he's an automatic plug-and-play number 1 top spot for me. Other than that, yeah.
The Chiefs side of things, obviously, if you have Mahomes, go for it.
Xavier Worthy, holy cow, those guys might have a field day.
Yeah. And then I personally wouldn't start Hollywood Brown, but he is their leading receiver right now. He has 209 yards on 22 receptions.
That's due to Worthy being out for a couple games.
But only 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
I've got a fun one for you, though. It's not so much fantasy.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it is fantasy. If you have a Chiefs running back, don't even bother. Their leading rusher for 4 games, because they're playing tonight, Monday night, Chet, against the Jaguars. Guess who their leading rusher is?
Gosh, it's going to be somebody goofy. It's not Mahomes, is it?
It's Mahomes, Chet.
Lord. Well, that's
22 carries for 130 yards.
I have Pacheco on one of my squads, and I'm like, what happened to this guy? He's gone. I mean, he is just not producing at all now. So he's been relegated to.
I think their offensive line can pass block. I don't think they run block.
They may not run block well. So I have a feeling their passing game's going to have a day on us. Travis Kelce might have a day on us.
I agree.
I worry about any of those guys. So if you got them, play them.
I would say Mahomes, Worthy, Kelce are your plays. If you have a Chiefs running back, sit them. And Hollywood Brown.
He might pop a big one. Hollywood Brown could. We are susceptible to the deep ball. So
that the Lions
Hollywood could catch one going down the sideline and take off with it and never come back. So It's very possible we could get beat there too. But I would rank him down toward the bottom just on percentages alone.
Agree. So, and sorry, the money line's negative 105 for the Lions.
I'm staying way away from anything on the Lions side of this. That's for sure.
Yeah,
If I had to do anything, I'd take the Chiefs and give the points.
I would do the same and just avoid it from there. So we'll be back with you. Please check out our sister pod, the Detroit Tigers Litter Box, and go Lions.
Go Lions.